Hi, this is Tom Needham, and you are listening to The Sounds of Film. Joining me on the phone today is the director of BLANQUITA, Fernando Guzzoni. The film is inspired by a real-life case involving a child prostitution ring which provided services to high-placed politicians. The film is Chile's official Oscar entree for 2022. The film premiered at the Venice Film Festival. Fernando, thank you so much for joining us today on The Sounds of Film.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, what an amazing movie. I understand, as I mentioned a second ago, that this film is based on a real story. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about this actual story?
Yeah, well, the film, as you mentioned, is based on the Spinac case, which was a very controversial event in Chile about 15 years ago. It was a highly mediated political sexual scandal where a businessman from the economic elite lead a network of child exploitation with an important right-wing politician. So the case was an emblematic example of, in my opinion, about how impunity works in societies like Chile, and where the victims could not access to the justice. So I followed the case when I was like 20 something, and was before the social medias, and I remember that all the newspaper covered the news, and I read every day the different angles of this event, and I was super like touched by the story. So I decided to make this film like interrogating again this story, but in how can I say, in a contemporary way, because I wrote the script, but in the current days, like so was my own interpretation about the case, but based in this super controversial scandal.
This film, though, is fiction. Why did you decide to stray away from the original story and make it a standalone story?
Well, I'm always interested in the reverse of what the official or judicial truth offers, and I believe that in this case there were many gray areas that the establishment had forgotten, and I believe that this case deserved to be rethought, even when as I told you, I resignify it. Many elements with my own obsessions and with some fiction elements, of course, basically because I didn't want to make a journalistic or historical approach to the reality. So that's why I took many elements, but I did my own interpretation of this reality.
This film explores class issues in an original way. Why is class such an important part of this story?
Well, because I think it's a reflection on the structural violence of the institutions, of our institution, and how our societies build first and second class citizens. So I believe that there are people who cannot access to the human rights or justice, you know, just because of their gender or social extraction. And I think this case was a very clear example of this, you know, a girl from a foster home who tries to find justice but fails because she's a part of the historically racialized and oppressed bodies, you know. So I think that our societies always make this distinction. So I feel this is like the main element in this case.
Yeah. It's also a movie that challenges our perceptions about truth, deception, and ethics. What exactly are you trying to say about truth and perception?
Well, I believe that the center of gravity of this story is lying as an extra moral exercise, in the sense that we can see through the film how words can build a reality, or how lies can be an unorthodox way of achieving justice. Then I always found it fascinating that Blanquita was a heroine, but with double standards, and and I don't know, but that her lie was a response, in my opinion, to the impunity with which institutions have acted. So she wasn't just a liar. It was, I think, it was the only way that she found in order to find for justice. So I think for me was when I read the official files of this case, I found so fascinated this idea of a female character which is not pure, it's not sanctified. So I think this is, in my opinion, the most subversive thing of this character in the real case and also in the film, of course. So yeah, so I think she's like a Jeanne d'Arc, but in a very like revolutionary way, So yeah, so I think the film is about the status of truth, and I like how this position of the character push you to make your own opinion in ethic and moral way of the film and of her, So yeah, so I think this is something that I like to watch in films, and I like to explore as filmmaker.
Yeah, I really love this aspect of the story. It's funny. We live in a time now that tells us that we should always trust the victim of a crime. Here in America, we have the Me Too movement, where a lot of women are accusing men of sexual crimes. This film questions the notion of this kind of situation. Are you ready for some people to maybe be upset with this aspect of the story?
Yeah, but I believe that this film and the character of Blanquita cannot be observed in a dichotomous or binary way. I think that things are more complex than something black and white. So I don't think the film has an irresponsible or provocative discourse. It simply comes to show, in my opinion, the complexity of a human being with different dimensions. So one of the dimensions of her is that she's lying, but she's also a victim of these institutions. She's victim of this structural violence. So it's not just a liar. I think it's absolutely more complex. So I don't think. I mean, I'm prepared of this kind of critics, but I feel that it could be a very simplistic approach of the film if someone think that it's just a girl who is lying. I think it's absolutely more complex.
Yeah, definitely. The visual look of this film is incredible, and I was wondering how you designed the visual look to support some of these themes and ideas that we were just discussing.
Yeah. Well, I think the film is built from a genre exercise, from a thriller, and has this kind of oppressive and cold formal proposal, because it helps to show the feeling and the experience that Blanquita is living. So I think somehow this formal approach it's related with with this environment that she is living, you know, the environment related with this sensation of that she's like prey of the system, you know. So I felt that the formal proposal is organically connected with the narrative elements.
Yeah. One interesting choice that you make is to not show any of the scenes of alleged violence. That's unusual. Why did you not show any of these scenes, any visual interpretation of these scenes?
Well, I think that as I told you in the beginning, I felt that the center of gravity of the film is the word, you know, and I like it to play with the spectator imagination, you know. So all this description that we listen, I think it's better to show it not in a morbid way, you know. So I also feel that otherwise it could be like a revictimization of the characters, you know. So I like it, this idea to show just like words and oral transmission, but not like a very concrete and I don't know, violent scenes, you know.
Yeah. Fernando, this show is called The Sounds of Film, and on this show we play a lot of film soundtrack music. Can you tell me a little bit about your approach to working with the composer to create the original score for this film? Great music, by the way.
Yeah, well, I was looking for a very minimalistic sound, so I wanted to mix this instrumental elements with some like realistic sonorities. So I found this balance between these two elements, and we worked with a particular element, which was the bells. That when I spoke with Chloé Thevenin, the French composer of the film, we felt that these bells were a kind of closed and opened chapters, you know, within the film. So we like it. Small tones were mixed with noises, and that enveloped the viewer in an atmosphere, you know. So we also we always think the conception of the sonority and the music in this way, you know, trying to build this like claustrophobic atmosphere with few elements, not with a proper tracks, you know, more like an experimental experience, you know. One of our main reference actually was John Cage. So
oh wow.
Yeah, we work it with him on mine.
Well, good choice. A lot of people are talking about the actors in this movie, and I was wondering if you could tell us, as a director, what exactly is your approach to preparing actors to get the best performance out of them?
Well, with the main with the protagonist, with Laura,
yeah,
she has not an academic approach with the acting. She actually is a singer, so she never played in a film before. So it was super demanding for me and for her, of course. And but I felt when I saw her in the casting that she had somehow the same spirit of the character, something mysterious, enigmatic, and really economic in terms of movements, you know. So yeah, and I was looking for someone without this approach because I wanted something from zero, you know. So yeah, I don't know. It was an intuition since I saw her, and we built the character together. I showed her like many investigation, books, the documents of the case, like the files,
right?
And we agree that the character was a kind of bomb that gonna explode. So she was like I don't know, keeping the energy inside all the time. So yeah, so was super interesting, and I used to mix like professional actors with the natural actors, if I can say. Like I like to think the casting related or at service of the nature of the story, you know.
Yeah.
So in this story, I felt that it was interesting to work with someone without any background as an actress.
I've heard a lot of directors make that choice to work with natural actors who don't have a lot of experience. Do you think anyone can be an actor?
Wow, it's a great question. And I don't think so, but I feel that, I mean, for instance, in my previous film, also the main character, it wasn't a professional actor, was also a singer, but I felt that he was like I don't know, a natural talent, you know, and some people with super free, you know, like without I don't know, restrictions or able to or people open to experiment like new stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But also I like when I don't know, if I work with for instance, with a urban tribe, or if I will work with a particular community, I like the idea to work without exotism, you know. So I believe that yeah, many people can play, and you should, as director, you should give them like the tools, you know. So, but of course, some people is just like a natural talents, and as Laura, for instance, and everything is more easy, even when you should be like very clear with the instructions, or you should teach them how to work in front of the camera, you know, maybe sometimes very basic stuff that professional actors know immediately, but it's a part of the experiment. So it's complex, but at the end of the day, it's super beautiful, you know.
Fernando, you've really started to build up quite a body of work, and I was wondering, as we wrap this up, where you feel this film, BLANQUITA, fits in terms of your overall body of work. How does this film represent your style, the themes that you like to explore, you know, overall you as a filmmaker?
Yeah, you know, I think that BLANQUITA is a part of a common reflection about about the reverse of the official stories, you know.
Yeah.
What is behind of the official stories, or what is behind of this slogan that the establishment used to make. So I realized that if I watch all of my film in a timeline, it's a kind of the same film, you know. So I'm doing the same film all the time, even when I'm changing, of course, like the formal explorations or the narrative ways to construct the scripts. But I think that I have this common obsession all the time about to show the gray areas. You know, always I think I'm obsessed with that, with how the things are not black and white. So I think BLANQUITA is a new question about it, you know.
Why do you think that you are obsessed with this idea?
Yeah, because I think the human complexity is higher, and what the politically correct waves and the medias also always try to fit our reflections in a box, and I feel that this is the problem when we cannot reflect about uncomfortable places, So I like to put the eye in these complex areas, in these uncomfortable spaces, and because I think it's a part of my statement as a political subject, but also as a filmmaker.
Well, I'm glad that you're doing it, because I agree with you. It's really become a difficult thing for artists and writers to do, to express opinions and to make statements about controversial subjects. And it's brave of you to tackle this. And the film is very entertaining. It's very engaging. I think people are going to come out of the theater after seeing your movie thinking and talking about this movie. I want to thank you so much for coming on the program. Is there anything you'd like to tell our listeners as we wrap this up? Any place you'd like to direct them online to learn more about this film or your work?
Well, yes. If I would like to share like the title of my previous film, because I think it are easily to find in Amazon or even in some platforms as Filmin or Movie. Jesus is my previous film, and Dog Flesh is the first one. And I think, of course, I would like to invite all the people to watch Blanquita if they have the possibility in the theaters since the 9th of December. Because as you said, I think it's a film that reflects about very contemporary discussions, but in a very particular way. I mean, it's a genre exercise, so it's not like an hermetic film for the audience. It's actually quite I don't know. I don't know if funny is the word. But, yeah, but it's not like a super arty film. It's actually super narrative. But I think after the film you can have reflections and you have questions to build. So this is for me like the most interesting thing as audience and as director as well. So yeah, just to invite the audience to watch it, Blanquita, if they have the opportunity.
Well, Fernando, I want to thank you again for coming on the program, and I would like to highly recommend to all of our listeners, I know that you would enjoy Blanquita and Fernando's other films, and hopefully maybe one time in the future we can talk again about your whole body of work.
Super. Thanks a lot.
All right, take it easy. Good talking with you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.